Resident Evil Extinction. Hi everyone, I'm Nrrdeh, and this is the third episode of my series Scuffle with the Resident Evil movie franchise. So if you haven't seen the first two, go back and watch those ones, because this one probably won't make a lot of sense if you haven't seen those. Or maybe it will, I don't know. Anyways, to start off, let's talk about the trailer. So the trailer doesn't give up too much of the storyline of the movie, but it does have like a lot of the bigger scenes in it, and it does have bits of the boss battle, which, you know, I am not a fan of, to have that in there. Ugh, this one's like a hard one. I'm gonna put this one in the middle because it kind of is, because let's be real, most of these movies are like their big scenes. They're not really the story, even though the story, you know, it's okay. It could be better. So we're gonna put it in the middle. Now I'm gonna make a new sign that says, kind of. So, Resident Evil Extinction starts off and throws us for a little loop. Turns out, Dr. Isaacs has been making clones of Alice and sending them through the end part of the first movie. She wakes up, shower nap. Like, I thought Silent Night, Deadly Night was bad for reusing footage from the earlier films. Resident Evil, like, took that formula and hauled ass with it. The clone dies in the Raccoon City Hospital, and she's dumped outside, and Dr. Isaacs is like, be sure to get a blood sample, because they're trying to make a new Alice that is as powerful as the old Alice, because they're a weapons company, and she's a weapon. So this is where we get the recap of the first two movies from Alice herself, and she tells us that the world basically died after mere months of the T-virus being released. So that's fun. Alice also tells us that in order to live in this world now, you have to keep moving to survive, to keep going to the next truck stop to hope there's supplies there or whatever. Alice is on her own right now, and she gets a distress signal, and she follows it to go help people out. And then it gets very dark because it was a trap, and there was like almost a rape scene? Yeah, real dark. Alice ends up kicking that dude in the face so hard that he dies. So good. The group that he was with take Alice and throw her into their little dungeon where they have Cerberus just hanging out so they can torture other people with the zombie dogs. And because she's Alice, she figures out a way to escape it, and she escapes this bottom part and also lets the dogs out so the dogs eat the rest of the people. Good work. Some rock and or roll music is playing while we're shown a shot of a caravan driving through the deserts of whatever used to be America. We quickly find out that this caravan is in jeopardy of somebody melting down because all of the cigarettes in the world are gone, and all of these adults were smokers, and now they have to go cold turkey. One of the vehicles is a literal busload of children, so whew, am I glad I'm not in that caravan. So I'm gonna give you the names of the caravan adults that have names right now. Carlos from the last movie is in there. LJ from the last movie is also in there. Angie's missing, and so is Jill. We never get to that. There's also Betty, who's played by Ashanti, and she is their medic. There's Oliver, who looks like he's dressed up to audition for some Charles Dickens play. There's Mikey, who's Australian, and there's Chase, who is like a cowboy guy, and there's Kmart, who is like a young woman that hangs out with them. And also, there's Claire Redfield from the game. And it's so funny because when you watch the other people playing non-game characters say her name over the walkie-talkies, the CB, whatever it is, you can see like the little smirks on their faces about like, hey, yeah, we got Claire Redfield in this one, guys. And it's like, are you nerds? Are you gamers? But the caravan is called the Claire Redfield Caravan. And I would just like to workshop this for 1 second, because why is it not the Claravan? I get that it's like the end times of the world and whatever, but we can still have fun here. The Umbrella Corporation are having a meeting, and Wesker is their chairman. There's talk about domesticating some of the zombies because it turns out zombies can live decades without having to eat anything. So that's a problem. Alice is still on her own, and while she's looting a gas station, she finds a notebook that says that there's a place in Alaska that has no infection and has safety for survivors. So she's like, oh, cool, I should probably take this. The caravan has reached a motel, and they're looking for supplies. Supplies are low, as they would be. There's a whole bunch of people in this caravan. The giant gas tank that the motel has is empty. And honestly, this is totally an argument to go solar powered on everything, because if this happens to us, we're so fucked. We're so reliant on gas. So a couple guys go in and clear out the motel, and while they're clearing out the motel, LJ gets bitten which sucks. Back at one of the Umbrella facilities, Dr. Isaac is experimenting with zombies and injecting them with other stuff, like Alice's blood, to try to make them more trainable, more domesticated. And he accidentally, like, invents Crimson Heads. But this scene is really funny to me. I really, really like it, because it's like, it's working, and it's going very well, until it's not at all. During the evening time, we're shown a shot of Alice sleeping out in the open wilderness, and her telepathy powers are just going out of control, and she lifts everything above her and then drops everything, which means she's got no motorcycle now. The visual representation of the hive that Dr. Isaac is in is still a young British girl, but this one is the White Queen. The White Queen rats out Alice and is like, Dr. Isaacs, there's been like a pick-me-up on the radar of telepathy things out there in the desert. Spot on English accent. The caravan had slept all in their cars that night, and when they wake up in the morning, there's just a shit ton of infected crows all over the place. So they decide to just drive away and leave the situation completely, but that gets fucked up really quick because the ambulance is stuck and the school bus with all the kids in it hits a pole. Fuck. So the other vehicles have to turn around and evacuate the bus. Like, honestly, there's just not enough space in the other cars for this to work with how many kids were in that bus, but we're just not gonna worry about any kind of continuity. Just throw that shit right out the fucking window. One of the vehicles has like a flamethrower on top of it, which if you're very low on gas and it's more important for you to be on the move, why are you using gas on a flamethrower? So anyway, somebody's on top doing flamethrower shit, and we lose Betty, we lose Otto, and we lose somebody else who I don't think they had a name, to the birds. The flamethrower guy dies or leaves or whatever, I don't remember, when the flamethrower is about to hit, and Alice shows up and is like, telekinetic powers, no, fuck you, crows, and sets all of the crows on fire with the flamethrower fire. Also, the Red Queen squeals on Alice again because she's a fucking snitch. Alice talks with Carlos and he asks her why she left them in like another state, I can't remember which state it was, but she was like, oh, I had to because they were GPS tracking me and I had to figure out how to stay off the grid so they can't track me and I only should go places. No, they can't track me and I shouldn't be around people because they all get killed. But we don't talk about what happened to Jill or Angie. I'm assuming Angie's fucked because she needed the tea cure to keep herself healthy and stuff. You know, she only had so many of those. Jill could be literally anywhere. Also, when this conversation is going on about her staying off their grid, the Umbrella Corporation obviously is tracking her at that very moment. Claire then talks with Alice and is like, hey, so like, you can't really stay here because everyone's kind of afraid of your powers. We're super grateful, but at the same time terrified. Alice is all like, okay, but like, there's this place in Alaska. Claire takes this idea and brings it to a vote in the caravan, and everyone gets to say whether they're going to keep on trucking or truck on up to Alaska, and everyone, including the tiny little children whose votes count, voted for Alaska. Then they pick out where they're gonna go to resupply, and they pick Vegas because they're like, oh, Vegas will have supplies still because it was a huge place. Also, V dangerous. Back at the Umbrella Corporation, Wesker tells Dr. Isaacs to knock that shit off. We're not sending out any kind of Milita people to get Alice or whatever you want to do for your stupid little science fair project, bro. Dr. Isaacs takes full offense to this and essentially steals Wesker's voice in like a soundboard situation and gives himself control of the Milita to send them out to go to Vegas to test the new Crimson Heads against her and also, you know, capture her. Back to the caravan, LJ's not doing so hot because of, you know, the zombie bite. Vegas is insanely sandy to the point where I'm like, how are you gonna get anything from anywhere? Like, everything's gonna be filled with sand. Chase, the cowboy, climbs the Eiffel Tower to get a vantage point on all the everything of Vegas. Everyone else comes across a storage container and Alice is like, wait, hold on, don't open this. And it turns out it's filled with crimson-headed zombies. So big zombie fight ensues. So after a good amount of fighting, Alice gets shut down by Dr. Isaacs. So she's essentially like paralyzed. In this zombie arena, we lose Chase, the cowboy guy, and we lose LJ because he turns into a zombie, and LJ bites Carlos. So fuck. I think we also lose Mikey, the Australian guy, as well. Alice is actively fighting her like mind control chip or whatever and uses, I think, her own mind powers helicopters to bust the processor in the satellite above in space, and then she's freed. And she knows exactly where Dr. Isaacs and his crew are, so she hauls ass over to that building, and when they're trying to get the feed back up, they're like, oh no, what is going on? And when they get it back up, she's just running up like a stairs, and they're like, where's she going? And Dr. Isaacs is kind of like, fuck. Alice actually gets there and basically kills all of Dr. Isaacs' dudes on the ground, and Dr. Isaacs gets bit by a zombie, but he gets out and back to his lab. So back at whatever Umbrella Corporation hive that Dr. Isaacs is in, one of his co-workers named Slater comes in and is like, Wesker's pissed and he told me to kill you. And Dr. Isaacs is fucked up on that T cure. Like, he took so many. Slater like shoots him or whatever, but Dr. Isaacs does not die because he's on that T cure, boy. So he doesn't die, and he just salad fingers the shit out of Slater, and Slater dies. Alice had let Dr. Isaacs' helicopter go away because she was like, we're gonna need that helicopter to get to Alaska. So she was thinking ahead of time and not just shooting at a helicopter. So they follow the helicopter over to the hive entrance facility. Since Carlos is bitten, he's like, well, I'll just sacrifice myself so you guys can get in, because there's all those zombies around the perimeter that you could not get through without, I guess, exploding something. So Carlos is the man. Alice is like, you don't have to do this. There's a cure down there. And Carlos is like, we both know it's too late, babe. He doesn't say babe, but he should have said babe. Oh, right. Carlos and Alice have like a thing going on. So he drives, I think it was the semi off, and tips it and then like explodes it. But before he dies, he does get to smoke a little bit of the marijuana, which, I mean, like, it sucks that he only found it at the last minute because he just did one little puff off. He didn't even get to be high when he died. That's such a shame for him. So they all get to the helicopter except for, like, you know, Carlos and everybody else who died. And Claravan has transformed into not a Claravan anymore. They're just in a helicopter. But also, I guess they lost a whole bunch of kids and other people because, you know, helicopters aren't very big, and they end up fitting everybody in the one helicopter. They had a busload of children. Great. The Claravan would still be important if you didn't have to add so many people to it. At some point, it just seems like, oh, you just added a busload of kids to make it seem more imperative, but then, like, it's not, because you get one helicopter. Draw straws, kids. Alice does not go with the Claravan. She, instead, goes into the hive of wherever the fuck they're at. I guess technically this is a Nevada hive. Welcome to your future, Nevada. I also forgot to mention that Alice totally saw the open-air graveyard for all of her clones, too, before she went into the hive. But anyway, she's in the hive for revenge, because of course she is. They just had her love interest killed, essentially, because he got bit by a zombie, which is their fault, which was LJ, who was also a zombie, which was their fault. So she should be pissed about that too. LJ was her friend, I guess. She has friends. So when she gets down there, the White Queen informs her that Dr. Isaacs is now a monster and that he's kind of lost his shit. That Alice's blood is a cure to the T-virus, and that she can make this cure in this facility because it's got all the stuff she needs. She just needs to defeat Dr. Isaacs. I just want this on record. The White Queen, the computer that knows all this stuff, told Alice she can create the cure in this hive, that her blood is the cure to the T-virus. Okay? Put that on record, because no one else fucking remembers it. Who the fuck are we kidding? She's not gonna sit in there and make a cure, even if she could. So the name of the game is Violence Before Science. We've got to kill Dr. Isaac. So while in this hive, Alice finds herself. I mean, like, she finds her clones while she's searching for Dr. Isaac. Dr. Isaacs gets a surprise round attack and knocks Alice's clone out of the womb bubble thingy, and it looks like the clone dies. Alice finds the obstacle course that was laid out for her clones, and this is where she fights Dr. Isaac. Turns out that he regens really quickly, and he's all like, you can't kill me. Alice then uses her psychic abilities against him, but he uses roar in return and says this line:
I am the future.
Sure, bud. At this point, they get into the hallway, you know, the hallway of the motherboard chamber, the lasers. Alice steals a line from the Red Queen. I'm gonna die down here. And Dr. Isaacs is cubed just like one was. And we think that it's gonna happen to Alice too, but turns out Clone Alice wasn't dead and she turns off the lasers. Alice finds like this storage of 1 billion of her clones, which is pretty neat and raises a lot of questions, like identity crisis questions. Questions of like, would she date herself? Because she has the opportunity if she would want to. One of them would also probably want to, theoretically. Who would win those clone wars? Clones of Alice or clones of Django Fett. Well, I've got questions. Anyways, what would I do if I walked into a place and it just had a billion clones of me? I don't want to ask myself that question. What would you do if you walked into a room and there were billions of clones of you? Chairman Wesker is in the middle of a meeting about Umbrella Corporation stuff, and Alice holograms into that meeting and is like, hey, dicks, I'm still alive, and I'm coming for you, and I'm bringing some of my friends. It's me, I'm my friend. And that's it. That's the end. No, that's really it. That wasn't like a fake end. I'm kind of shocked that there wasn't like 2 to 3 fake endings like in the first 2. Huh. All right. Oh boy. Now let's talk about where it goes on the ranking. I'm gonna put it at number 2. Ooh. So I put it at number 2 because I thought it was more interesting than the first one. The acting in it is better than in the first one, which, I mean, it's got Ian Glenn. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he's just a good actor, so it pulls up the acting a little bit more, but also makes certain parts seem more stiff, I guess. I hated how they didn't tell us what happened with Jill or Angela, which is, I guess, just forget about that. There's too much going on. They also didn't answer like how they got all of that clearance and stuff to get Alice out of there. Like, there's so many unanswered questions from the second one to the third one, and I guess I'm just gonna have to live with it. Thanks. I also liked the escalation of Alice's powers and how it's shown that she is tired after using them, so to put like a little cap on them and whatever. I thought that was neat. And so that's why it makes number 2 on my list. Let me know in the comments section below what you think it would be on your list if you've seen all 3 of these movies. Thank you everyone for watching. Leave the video a like if you liked it, and please consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. To all of my subscribers, thank you guys so much for being here. If anybody wants to follow my socials, they are in the links below in the description. There's also a link to a podcast that I was in the description as well, so check that out. That's gonna be it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! I'm probably just running my dumbass mouth for no reason. Fine. It's fine. No. Don't leave me, brain thought. Come back. Come back to me. Charles Dickens. Girl, oh my god. Statue? The Paris statue. Really? The Statue of Paris.